Hello, and welcome to Creepycore and Folklore, the show about creatures, encounters, old tales, and myths. I'm your host, Iona Wayland, a dark fantasy author, mental health professional, and overall curious person. I want to join other spooky souls and hear about these unusual stories. Hello, spooky soul. This Creepycore and Folklore episode is going to be really fun. We're visiting with another CCFL guest. Joining us today is Grey Witch, writer, and aspiring medium, River. Welcome, River. I'm so excited you're here. Thanks for taking time out of your day to speak with me and the fellow spooky soul who's listening.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited. I have been dying to be on a podcast about spooky things forever. So this is literally a dream come true. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, that means a lot, especially because you have your own podcast, which we will get to in a second. I can't wait.
Good, no.
And for the spooky soul listening, I'll have their information in the show notes.
Yeah, so my name is River. I'm practicing mediumship, hoping one day to become a full-fledged medium. I'm writing a book. It's my first book. Hopefully it will be out this year.
Oh, that's so exciting.
I know, I'm so excited. And aside from that, I do tarot readings. I do oracle readings. Yeah, those are kind of my interests. I also illustrate, but I've been having some issues regarding chronic pain, so I haven't been able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And also, I don't like that you have pain and have chronic pain. At the same time, I know that there are listeners that also have chronic pain or are disabled. And so it's helpful to have somebody like be on the podcast that knows what that's like, because it's tough.
It is. It's really tough. I think the hardest thing is someone that has ambitions and wants to get projects done, especially personal projects, because when you have a day job and you need to do work on the side, when you have chronic pains or chronic illnesses, it makes it that much more difficult. And you just have to remember to allow yourself time to heal before you push yourself. It's very difficult to remind myself that sometimes, but
Yeah.
that's why I like using oracle cards.
Yes, I love that.
Sometimes they slap you in the face.
I hope they don't slap you in the face. Sometimes your readings, though, like even just a bit ago, so River has like this like Discord that she started, and in it there's this part where they were trying out their new like oracle cards, and I was like, "Ooh, do a reading for me if you don't mind," and they did, and it was kind of exactly what was needed. So
I think that's the best part about. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, sorry. I'm totally bad at interrupting, so go ahead.
Too, I am also autistic, so I have a hard time sometimes reading when the right time is to interject. Do you know?
I'm ADHD, and I'm just like, hello, here's the thought that I'll lose if I don't say it right this second. So
that's the same.
Oh, neurodivergence in its finest with both of us. Good Lord. But yeah, so I was just saying, like, thinking of oracle cards slapping you in the face the other day. I was like legit thinking about doing something, and then the oracle cards were like, stop. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I won't do it then.
I love that. Sometimes it's like I hate giving myself readings because I'm like, no, I don't need that card. I'm gonna pull another one.
I tend to do the same thing. I'm like, oh, this must be meant for somebody else. Like the awareness is just not there.
That's the biggest problem when you're doing like readings of any kind, especially for yourself, especially like, as we talk about like the spiritual nature of like the other side, our brains get in the way so much.
Yep. And the amount, at least for me, of like delusions that I put myself, or mental gymnastics, I should say, that I put myself through to be like, oh, it's not that. It must mean that, and kind of like shoehorn and like information in there instead of just taking the information.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that it's really neat because like you told me before about different like interesting moments you've had when you've done like divination. What's a story that sticks with you that you'd want to share?
Am I allowed to use maybe a bit of the one that we did together?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I wanted to do a reading to find out the deity that may or may not be helping you, right? Just even find out
Mm-hmm.
if you had a deity that was around you. And so I did a reading on you, and immediately I was getting the Morrigan. Like I
Mm-hmm.
had already had this flash of a card that I have from another deck in my
Mm-hmm.
head,
Mm-hmm.
but my rational brain said someone else was talking about the Morrigan, so obviously that's what's in my head. It's not
Mm-hmm.
them. It's not. But then every card that came out, if you remember, there was a lot of like Raven-esque feathers and just like the sassiness,
Mm-hmm.
and then also the way that like she was demanding. Like she would not let me. She would not talk to me unless I found the right like music to listen to. She was like,
Mm-hmm.
"No, I'm not going to tell you. You need to figure it out." And I kept thinking to myself, "Is it this? Is it this?" And so I'm listening to these songs, and I'm like, "It feels like it's this. Is it this?" And she's like, "I don't know. Is it? Is it that? You better figure it out. Like you're asking me, why are you here?" Like it's almost
Mm-hmm.
like she just didn't want to deal with me, but she liked to mess with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so eventually, I kind of got it. Like, okay, it is the Morrigan. And then how intertwined she is with you and how long she's been with you is kind of insane. Like, I think from what I'm gathering, she's been with you for a long time, maybe even childhood.
That meant so much to me, and I'm gonna tear up already. Because because it was just like, I had a rough like coming up, in childhood.
Yeah.
And it was nice to know that there was something around.
Well, but I'm so sorry for making you tear up, but to me, it's like it's such an overwhelming, happy, joyous, like protective
Hmm.
energy
Yeah.
that she is a very protective deity, and she takes
Mm.
care of the ones that she's guiding. You
That
know.
was cool to learn about too, because I was like, I felt really bad, but I was like, I've never heard of the Morrigan in my life. And then I felt bad. I was like, what kind of podcaster am I?
No,
I don't know who she is.
oh my goodness. But that's the thing about deities and goddesses. There's so many, and a lot of them, and this is interesting, a lot of the deities have different names for the same deity has different names.
I could totally see that because I've talked about it on the podcast before, but a lot of times not trying to pick on just one religion. Lots of religions did
Yeah.
this, but like I'm just going to use Catholicism because it's coming to the top of my head, where
Yeah.
there's lots of sainthoods and saints there, and so to like convert people, they're like, "Hey, you can still like worship the same everything, just change the name to Saint so and then you're not going to get persecuted." And that's like a really like quick and dirty version of it, but like that's what brings to mind. And not just Catholicism did that, but like that's why I totally get what you're saying, where you're like deities have different names, and it's like they go by different things and they have kind of different images, but it's still them at the core.
So the way that I have a 7-year-old daughter, and
Hmm.
she's very into witchy stuff. She is super intuitive. She's very magical. She's more powerful than I am.
I love that.
Yeah. And so she's always asking about like spirits and stuff, and she very much so believes in these things, right?
Hmm.
And so when I'm explaining to her how a spirit works or how a deity works or how, guides work, I'm always trying to reference energy because
Mm.
to me, a deity isn't necessarily like a full being that's going to just approach you. It's a feeling, and
Mm.
it's an energy, an overpowering energy that you sense. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that you can't get images in your head, but when people are like, "Oh, well, I practice with this deity and they were in my room." Are they
Hmm.
physically going to be there? Probably not.
Hmm.
But can you energetically feel them and energetically sense them, or even energetically see them? And the reason why I say that is because I have seen things
Hmm.
in dream states that are otherworldly. There's no
Hmm.
explanation for them other than they were physically, well, felt physically in the room, but they were
Hmm.
seeing them spiritually.
I'm
Uh,
sure it's like a different, like, I don't know what I'm talking about, so bear with me here. But like, I feel like it's almost like that thing of like different dimensional type of thing. Like, it's like another dimension. We can't detect it because we can only understand 3D and
oh,
below,
yeah,
but
yeah,
like they're like 4D or 5D or something else, you
yeah.
know?
So it's always like during like sleepy states or
Mm,
waking up from a dream state is when that has happened to me the most.
mm-hmm,
It started out with like seeing things come out of mirrors. in my
Oh, I
state.
don't like that. But
Oh,
tell me more.
I know. Well, the thing is, I protect my mirrors. I put a lot of
Oh,
wards up. I make sure that they're clean.
that's
And by
smart.
that I mean is I don't allow negative energy to come in uh
Mm-hmm.
or come out from the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be very afraid of mirrors until I figured out how to protect myself. But
I'm gonna
then
have to get tips from you because ever since I was really, really little, I was really freaked out by mirrors. But now I know how to read a crystal ball, sort of. So I feel like that's kind of linked.
it's similar in a way because it's a vessel and it's a they're portals. and
Mm-hmm.
and so just like a door, like you're not going to open the door for anybody. You need a protective layer there.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't do it once, you do it a couple times, and you got to keep cleaning them. It's like, you clean your house, you do your dishes, you got to put your wards up.
Mm-hmm.
um but yeah, so I started having these really intense dreams where not dreams, but I would wake up and I would see things coming out of the mirror, and
Mm-hmm.
at first it was like these beautiful, I don't even know how to describe them other than like butterflies,
Mm-hmm.
but they looked like they had smoke, like this green wispy bluish smoke attached to them, and
Mm-hmm.
they fly like they were underwater. It was really weird.
Interesting.
And it would happen over and over again, and then it
Mm-hmm.
stopped for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then one night I woke up and I saw this huge ass beetle in the air, like above me and my
Mm-hmm.
wife. And I'm like hitting my wife, like, hey, wake up, hey, wake up, this. And I'm pointing to this
Like, do
beetle.
you also see this?
Huge. This beetle was like huge, like this big as my head.
Oh, wow.
The other thing is it looked just like those butterflies,
Uh-huh.
but I could feel the flapping of the wings, like the
Interesting.
buzzing, zzz, and I could feel it. It was
Uh-huh.
so weird. And my wife looks up and she's like, "No, I don't see anything. Like I don't know, what's there." And as soon as I
Mm-hmm.
went to grab it, it
Mm-hmm.
was gone. It was
Interesting.
the
It sounds
weirdest.
really pretty and also really scary and weird too, all
It
at the
was.
same time.
And then at that point, I was like, "Am I just insane? Am I just an insane person? Like, am I hallucinating? Like, am I having delusions? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what is going on?" I was questioning like the medication I was on. It was just
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I talked about mediumship and talking to those that have passed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a connection there, and I've had a connection there with my father who passed when I was really young. So when my sister was here visiting from the Netherlands, I
Mm-hmm.
realized that we had a connection that was much stronger than just like, oh, like he's around us. Like
Mm-hmm.
he will listen and he'll do things.
Mm-hmm.
Like you ask him for something and he's there, he'll do it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I did not believe it at first, but there was
Mm-hmm.
something in me that told me like just try this and see if it'll happen. So when I was having that moment, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
Dad, I need some kind of confirmation that I'm not just seeing this stuff, like
Yeah.
that I'm not just crazy. Like I need actual hard
Like
proof.
validation and proof. Yep.
And you
Mm-hmm.
can ask them, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
anyone that's listening, if you have to be very concise about what you want to see. And you don't have to ask a specific person from your family that's passed. You can just say like those, guides or spirits that are around me,
Mm-hmm.
those that want to help me, to protect me. Can you show me a sign that you're there?
Mm-hmm.
And so mine, because I couldn't figure out what to do. I was like, I don't know what is it. I was like, okay, I need to see a black dog, an all black dog,
Mm-hmm.
and it needs to have a yellow collar, and it needs to have a name that will ring a bell, that will be like something specific. So like that's what I had in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
and I was not veering from it.
Mm-hmm.
So like a month passes and I see nothing, right? So I'm,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like not good with my spirit.
Yeah, I would be like, and so I'm crazy. Got it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
then I'm picking my daughter up one day and I see this lady and she's walking this dog that's all black, but it
Mm-hmm.
has a yellow collar. It has a blue collar, not a
Mm-hmm.
yellow collar. It's a bright blue collar. And I'm like, okay, that's not it. It has to be yellow. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just not even thinking about it. Like, just like
Mm-hmm.
my daughter, she stops and she's like, oh, puppy. And she's like petting it. And so she asks the lady, oh, what kind of dog is this? And the lady says, oh, it's a Labrador. I'm thinking, that's kind of strange. My mom had a Labrador when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And then my daughter Kaylin goes, what's the dog's name?
Mhm.
And the woman goes, oh, Echo. And I
What?
stopped in my fucking, I was just like, what the fuck? Like literal chills all the way up and down my body. I'm like, this is my dad. Like
Mhm.
that dog, it has to be the reincarnation of my mom's old dog named Echo, who was a black
Oh
Labrador.
my God, her name was Echo as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, the term Echo is so symbolic already. I thought it
Oh,
was, I was just gonna, I'm like, yes, yes, it's Echo,
not
take it and run with it. But no, it's like
not just
literally
that,
the same name.
not just that. My book has a dog in it that's a white husky,
Hmm.
but I named her Echo in my book.
Oh,
So
that's
there's
such a
so
good
many layers.
tribute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for, like, yes, you could disregard it because it didn't have a yellow collar, right? Like that
Hmm.
one thing is going to make most people go, well, it's not what you asked for. So,
Hmm.
but everything else was so significant. And the
Hmm.
fact that my daughter went out of her way, like, just tells
Hmm.
me that it was meant for me. And
Yeah.
so I always have to go back to that moment and go, okay, that was my dad genuinely sending me a message.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, who's to say? I mean, the yellow also can be very symbolic. I'm really into like color theory and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Me
Like
too.
blue is also one of the primary colors, and then also like one of the three primary colors. And then on top of that, it could have had like a yellow color before or
Yeah.
later it would have had it or something. Like there's all sorts of stuff that could be going on. And I just think that's a little too significant to
But
not
yeah.
like to disregard, you
It was
know?
like after I decided that meant something, things
Hmm.
just started rolling for me. It was almost like I finally accepted it. I
Like
finally
open
said, I'm
that
not,
door.
yeah,
Yep.
you can't do that to yourself. You can't go, I have this feeling and intuitively you go, this is a feeling. But
Mhm.
then your logical brain goes, is it a feeling though? Are you sure
Mhm.
about that? And
Mhm.
that's when you're turning your intuition, your third eye off. You're not
Mhm.
allowing yourself to believe in yourself.
Mhm.
And that's a big thing that I think most people that are into this kind of like witchcraft or not even necessarily just spirituality,
Mhm.
they tell themselves it's not true, that it's not real, but it is.
Mhm. And that's even coming from like a psych perspective. You're the healthiest when your left logical brain and your right feeling or emotions brain work together as one. Like one shouldn't override the other. Like being super impulsive and like I love emotion. So whenever I say emotional, I don't mean it in a negative way, but like being impulsive and emotional all the time and only that way isn't healthy. But being overly logical and explaining away things all the time isn't really healthy either. So
Yeah.
even like psych speaking, not that I'm giving like psych advice or anything, but like it's like a happy complementary relationship that both halves of your brain have with each other. And just like you're talking about with like third eye spirituality, where it's like it sounds like whenever that's turned on, like your whole brain is kind of like working as one, which I think is really cool.
I'm gonna pause real quick because my cat wants out.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Cats are such fickle creatures, and you do whatever you need to do. Yesterday, I was interviewing Haley, and and I guess by the time the podcast rolls through, it'll be like a couple weeks ago for the listener. But Kachu had a serious poop accident, and he is the fluffiest of all of the cats. And I was like, why is this happening? So you needing to let the cat out is fine, and let that cat like be in. Is it a boy cat you
It's
said, or
we
it's a
have
girl?
we have three girl cats and one boy dog.
Oh, one boy dog. Okay, okay. And
Yeah.
it's like, so she wanted out, just let her out. That's totally fine.
You're so sweet. Yeah, sometimes I get like because they all want to be around. I'm like
Mm-hmm.
I joke in my house that I'm like Snow White
Snow
because
White. Yeah.
they just all want to be on me. Like
Uh-huh.
it's hilarious.
I love that.
Yeah. But speaking of like getting into the mediumship and that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely feel like my my late pet kind of really pushed me into it hard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so her name is Aurora,
Mm-hmm.
and she was almost 20, and we had to put her down. It was
Yeah.
very sad. Um,
Yeah.
but she, like, the night that it happened, she visited me, and
Mm-hmm.
I could like feel her in my dreams. Like I could
Mm-hmm.
feel her like the texture of her fur, and like it was almost like she was letting me know she was okay. And so I've
Mhm.
never had that before. I've never had like a dream visitation.
Yeah.
So that was my first ever, like my experience of like a dream visitation of someone or something that I knew that passed away. Um
That's
and
really beautiful. Even though it's really sad, it's really hard to make that call. I've had to do that before. They kind of let you know when
Mhm.
it's time, even though you're the one that has to make the decision.
Oh
And
yeah.
then for her to visit you afterward is really beautiful.
Well, and she does it like constantly now.
Oh
Like
my gosh, I love that.
yeah, she's so fun. I feel like she just probably feels a lot better. Like, there's something that they say that I definitely agree with, is that like when you pass away, you can choose what form to be in, like what time of, like what age you felt best in. Like,
Hmm.
it doesn't matter if you passed away as an infant. Uh,
Hmm.
your soul is allowed to decide like
Hmm.
how they want to present. And so she's presenting very young and like playful.
Aw.
And
Aw.
yeah, it's funny because my daughter will say like, "Oh, I see Aurora." Like my daughter, like I
Mm.
said, she's
She's
very
connected for
very
sure.
connected. Yeah.
Hmm.
Sometimes you can tell a little bit like it's playfulness, but she
Hmm.
does have, there's just something about my daughter that she's magical, like
Hmm.
genuinely.
Hmm.
Um, she actually uh predicted and wished for my sister to have twins, and it came true.
Stop it.
I have the screenshots and everything.
Oh my God.
So, my sister had been trying to have a baby for about, I don't want to say 10 years with her ex. And
Wow.
she finally got pregnant, and
Yeah.
she went full term and then lost her baby on her due date.
No,
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, that it's okay. Everything's good now.
Hmm.
But I came back after visiting with her for a couple weeks, and my daughter was she was so adamant, let's do a spell for my aunt, let's do a spell for my aunt.
Hmm.
So we take a take an egg and we go and we do a little um like fertility spell.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I'm just like digging a hole and putting stuff in. I'm not saying anything. My daughter's like singing and like comes up with this cute ass rhyme out of nowhere. Like I never told her like you got to rhyme to be a witch. Like she just started
She
rhyming,
just started rhyming.
and she's like something about like with this, I don't know, flower or something, like she'll have twins, and all of her, so I forget what it, like I had it written down and there's a screenshot of it. But anyways, so
Hmm.
she's like basically like all of her worries will be free. Like she'll be free of all
Aw,
her worries.
yes.
So within the year, she leaves her shitty ex,
Nice.
starts seeing this other guy. She gets fucking pregnant right away with twins. I'm just sitting here, I'm thinking like, I wish I was that fucking magical. Like I swear it was her. Like
Your
fucking
daughter absolutely like blessed her.
yeah.
Talk about a niece or a nibbling blessing. Oh my
I
God.
So Jennifer, oh, sorry, my sister Jennifer, I feel like she got like the rainbow baby plus, and I
Yeah, for
feel like
sure.
the soul from her previous, the one that had passed, that isn't
Yeah.
one of her other daughters. Like we kind of talk about it a lot.
I
Like
could totally visualize that. Like I think that's like a beautiful sentiment to be like, hey, I'm still around, but I
yeah.
don't want to be with this dad. Like I don't
Oh
want
yeah,
I want this guy as my dad. And
yeah.
then just like being able, if this is possible, like being able to choose like a different father. I think that's like really neat.
Yeah, I think I feel like after what happened, I did a couple readings with my sister, and it
Hmm.
was definitely a fear thing. And it was also
Hmm.
that Lucy knew that she needed to leave, but
Hmm.
she didn't want to, so she was staying as long as she
It's
could.
hard to. It's
Mhm.
hard to.
She
But
didn't
yeah,
want to leave her mom.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's
yeah.
really, really beautiful. It's like, it's hard to do that. But I think that it's like it shows that the timing, it doesn't take away from the hurt from losing
No,
a
of course
baby.
not.
It's just that the timing, it seems like this is a much healthier space to be
Oh, for
in.
sure. Yeah, like
Mhm.
her and her fiance, they're very happy. He is like
Mhm.
such a good man to her, and
Mhm.
like they're they're so good to their daughters. Like they have everything.
Mhm.
They're actually going to be moving to Louisiana soon, so
Oh,
I
interesting.
know. Yeah, so I feel like it's good for her. And I always go like, oh, that was Kaylin. Kaylin did that.
Kaylin definitely did that. I feel like kids are magical, but I feel like which whatever creator made her, they were like, and a dump of magic in this one instead of like a teaspoon.
It's like they accidentally like they were like, oh shit.
They dropped the whole vat of magic into her. I love that. I think that's so beautiful.
The other thing about kids is that there's no like, oh, this can't be true. You know, their logical
Yeah,
brain.
they're just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And they just like file it away.
Yeah, I love it. Um, but yeah, so I've had quite a few encounters, I guess, with the other side, little messages and that kind of thing. Like another story with my dad was after that happened with my sister.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my older sister came out from the Netherlands and stayed with me, and then she ended up staying at my house.
Mm-hmm.
But it was during COVID, and so she had forgotten her green card, and she couldn't get on
Oh
the plane.
no.
Yeah, like she did not know that she forgot it, and
Mm-hmm.
like she thought, oh well, I have this thing here. It states that I live in the Netherlands. It'll be fine.
Right.
But they denied her. They were like, oh no, you need your green card.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were going to shut down borders in
Yeah.
like 3 days. So
Mm.
she needed her green card like ASAP.
Mm-hmm.
But the shipping thing said it would take like a week or something. So we're
Yeah.
calling, we're trying everything we can, and nothing's happening for us. Like it's looking terrible for my sister. She's stressed out. I'm like, all right, let's use our last resort. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk to dad. Like
Mm-hmm. Now
let's
we need to phone in dad.
yeah. So we go outside, and I've never done this before. I've never asked. This is the first time I
Mm-hmm.
like talked to my dad in this way. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
listen, buddy, you were not there for us when we were younger. You're
Mm-hmm.
gonna be there.
You're
You're
gonna
gonna
be there now, god damn
be
it.
yeah. And I was like, this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna leave an avocado with salt out here for you, and you're gonna make sure that her green card shows up tomorrow ASAP.
I love it.
So I left it out.
Nice.
The next day, the green card showed up. Even though
Wow.
even though when we called, they were like, no, it's not happening. There was no way that that card was going to get there that fast, and it
That
did.
never happens.
It
It
was
really doesn't.
there's
It doesn't,
no way.
especially during COVID. It doesn't happen like that normally.
No,
Let alone during COVID. Holy shit.
you should have seen my sister. Because at this time, my sister was like she didn't really believe in witchcraft. Like she wanted.
No, but she was like, I mean, why the fuck not? Just like
Yeah,
ask him, I guess. Like there's
yeah.
nothing to lose at this
She's
point.
literally in tears. Like I'm never gonna see my kids again. I'm gonna be stuck in America. I just need to go
Yes.
home.
Yeah.
So we did that, and it worked. And so when she left, I gave her like a bunch of like citrine stones, like
Mm-hmm.
yellow citrine stones, and
Mm-hmm.
I forget what she said. She's like, I left with a bra full of citrine stones and magic in my heart. Like that's
Oh, that's the best thing I've ever heard in my life.
yeah, it was a really good visit. Like I
Oh,
haven't seen her in like 9 years either, so
wow.
it was good to see her under tough circumstances. But
Yeah.
I'm saying like all of these things, they seem like they're not going to get better,
Mm-hmm.
but then they can, and they
Mm-hmm.
will get better, especially if you just start to believe in yourself more. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's my biggest takeaway from practicing witchcraft, from mediumship, from everything I've learned since starting this whole journey, is that even when things look very bleak,
Mm-hmm.
there's always going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. Like I know
Mm-hmm.
that sounds very cliche, but
No,
it's
it's super
true.
powerful. It is true. And it's good to remember that too and just like hear about that there are people or spirits or connections around us that we can connect to, and then also that there's like protection and hope, and like if you just go into it with intention and belief that you can leave with hope and that there is going to be an end to all of the hurt. I think
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
yeah, that's my biggest takeaway, definitely. I also think something that I would love to like teach people is just that like not every negative spirit is negative. Like you have to look
Mm-hmm.
at energy as like it's pure energy until it's swayed one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And, the reason why I practice and I say I'm a gray witch is because I kind of teeter between both.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think white magic or I don't really feel like there's a black magic versus white magic situation. I feel like
Those
there's
things
always,
always made me feel uncomfortable, honestly. So I think that's good. You're like, it doesn't have to be, well, literally, so black and white. Like,
yeah,
there's more to it than that. It's
yeah,
like intention and energy and things like that.
right. And that's like my book. What I'm writing is basically about that. It's about like good versus evil, but both of those things, like, what does that even mean?
Mm-hmm.
What is good versus evil? What makes someone evil? Like, what actions make a person good? What actions make them bad? And
Mm-hmm.
it's just like everything's kind of like interconnected in a way. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, that's kind of my view on life.
That's really cool. I really love that. So you were talking about working with certain like entities, and also if she wants to talk, then maybe a haunted doll.
Yeah. So, the entity that I work most closely with that I've actually been like really like researching to make sure that like our bond is connected. But I've okay, this
Mm-hmm.
is the weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that this deity has been with me for a very long time, like possibly
Mm,
even like childhood. That's the thing.
mm-hmm.
I feel like they choose us
I think
pretty
they do. Like a cat.
early. Yeah. So the deity I work with most is death, which is for me like the best thing because of what I'm into and because of what
Mm-hmm.
I'm practicing. And at first I was like, oh, this is so random, like such a random thing, like how ridiculous of me to like want to work with death, right? But then I like rewind my childhood and I'm like, well, I've always been really like into certain kinds of like spookier things. Like my favorite my favorite movie from childhood is Meet Joe Black, which is literally about uh death going on vacation and falling in love and like it's
That's
just
so cute. I've never seen it. I've heard of it before.
yeah, it's with Brad Pitt. It's very fun. But
That's cool.
I've always been kind of like connected to death in that way, and I feel
Mhm.
like the more that I research about them, the more connected we become.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I think that he's definitely or they're definitely helping me with my communication still skills. And so we've talked before, you and I talked about being clairaudient, having
Mhm.
clairaudient abilities.
Mhm.
And so another thing with me in my childhood is that I've always been scared of dolls, like terrified, especially of dolls that look like people, like or
Mhm.
having more realistic faces. Like when I was younger, I fucking hated it because I could
Mhm.
feel things from
Mhm.
them. And
Mhm.
my Oma had this room that was filled with these dolls, and that's where we would sleep when we would stay over.
Of course, that's where you'd sleep. How naturally you sleep in the
Right.
doll room.
It was awful.
Hilarious.
But as I started getting into witchcraft and like protecting myself, all the things that used to scare me don't scare me anymore. And so I was
Mhm.
like, that'd be really cool. A haunted doll. And so I went on this like search for it, right? So I'm like, let's go to the thrift store. There's tons of dolls there.
Mhm.
Well, I walk in and the first doll I see is literally a replica of Annabelle. Like not the one from the movie, like the
Yeah.
real Raggedy Ann and
Yep.
Annabelle, and
Yep.
she doesn't have pants on. And I remember just thinking, like, put your pants on, Annabelle.
No.
Yeah,
You are what's the word? Oh my gosh.
you're done. You're done.
Yeah, they're done, but oh my gosh, I was thinking of this other one. Decent. You're not decent.
You're
You
not
need to
decent.
put pants on.
Yeah, like they were just like hanging down, anyways. So she was the first one that I saw, and I thought it was hilarious because I was on this journey to find like a haunted doll.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I see Annabelle, I see Natalie,
Mm-hmm.
and she's just up on a thing like different wig and stuff. Like she's since had a makeover that she asked me to give her.
She looks gorgeous, by the
Yeah,
way.
thank you. She's very gothed out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so before this, I'll send you pictures of what she looked like before. She was very pretty, and I just
Mm-hmm.
like could not stop staring at her. I felt like such a weird connection with her, and I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's it. But I
Mm-hmm.
looked around just to make sure if I was feeling anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I just kept going back to her. I was like, all right, she's it. So I think I feel like I paid like maybe $7 for her. Sorry about that, Natalie.
Aw.
And I brought her home, and immediately she just felt like a part of the family. And like my
Aw.
daughter would come up and like hug her and like talk to her. But before I even mentioned anything about her being haunted, my
Mm-hmm.
daughter talked to her like she was like like a real, like a kid, like
Ah,
another kid.
yeah.
And so that was really interesting because like yeah, my daughter's of that age of what is it called? Like she has like a big imagination, but
Hmm.
the way that she was communicating with Natalie felt a little weird. It was like, okay, you know.
You're
So
like, I'm gonna store this away. Like, yes, it could be her playing, but I'm just gonna note that this was a little different.
yeah. So that night I had a conversation with Natalie. I didn't know her name was Natalie at the time, and I was like, listen, if you want to visit me in my dream,
Hmm. Hmm.
it's cool, but
Hmm.
you can't scare me.
Here are the boundaries.
Yeah, I was like, please don't scare me. And so that night she did kind of visit, like this is the thing. I've never fully been able to see someone in my dreams, but I will
Hmm.
dream about them kind of.
Hmm.
And so she told me her name was Natalie.
Hmm.
But that was really it. Like that was the last time I had any kind of dream. I haven't had any dreams about her, anything like that since, but I've always had like feelings about her,
Hmm.
especially when I'm doing like any kind of like podcasting. Like my
Hmm.
sister and I, we podcasted with her once, and I asked her, I was like, Natalie, will you tell us whether or not like how you died? And then
Hmm.
very like immediately after that, you just hear murder like that. She just goes
Oh,
murder.
that's so sad. Oh
Yeah.
no, Natalie.
But you know how that the EVPs sound, right? Like
Yeah.
they sound really weird, and I feel like they're the way that they are able to communicate, they either have to A, use our voices,
Hmm.
or they have to manipulate it in a way, and it always sounds like kerbubbled or kerfuffled,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So it sounds just like she's saying it really, really fast. Murder, like that.
Hmm.
Um, and so I started digging in a little bit deeper, and I got dowsing rods, and I was asking her some questions, and um she kind of revealed to me that like she was this girl that I had a dream about a long time ago. So
Oh.
before all of the mediumship started, I would
Hmm.
have these really awful, terrible dreams about people dying that I didn't know.
Hmm.
And so the first one, and this is kind of like maybe a little triggering. I don't know if I want to talk about it fully, but essentially
Hmm.
she was killed by two of her guy friends.
Hmm.
And I asked her if that was her, and she confirmed. So since then, I've been trying to like find her real name,
Hmm.
making sure like if it is Natalie, that like a Natalie of that age
Hmm.
was murdered in the way that I saw in my dream. And
Hmm.
it's been like this ongoing search.
Hmm.
Um, I've had a couple hits, but nothing yet.
Okay.
And you said that you were hearing Valerie
Hmm.
instead of Natalie. And
Yeah.
so I'm wondering if maybe I misheard it, and like she's trying to communicate with you like, hey, like it's
I
not
don't know. I mean, I just felt like I heard it like in the clairaudient way, but
yeah.
I don't know if that was necessarily like, I don't know, I'm just not sure. But I also don't want to be like rolling all up in your business and being
Oh,
like,
I don't
hey, guess what? Her name is something else.
know.
So,
This is the thing. Like I only heard it in a dream.
hmm.
So I'm like rolling with what I heard, right? So like
Hmm.
if you
They
also
kind of sound similar
yeah,
too.
they do. And again, like some things get muddled, especially when it comes to the other side. Like I don't know if you can tell, but my camera is going crazy right now because of her.
No, I can't see it, but I believe you completely.
The light,
Oh, I did. I just did. Oh, I
yeah.
have goosebumps right now.
Yeah, so like when she's allowed, when I ask her to, she'll like manipulate certain things.
Oh, I wish she could do the yes or no thing, like
Do you
the
want me to
are is
grab
your name like is your name Val or was your name
do
Valerie or
you want me to try with the I could go grab my uh
the dowsing rods?
yeah.
Oh yeah. Wait, does she like the dowsing rods though?
I think they're easier for her.
Does she want to do it?
Let me ask. Do you want to
Yeah,
do
because I don't want to like put her on the spot.
I could also use like I don't know, I just feel like this thing it takes a little longer for it
Hmm.
to make up its mind.
Yeah.
I could also grab a pendulum, but I feel like with dowsing rods there's less
Dowsing rod's pretty like this is a yes or this is a no.
yeah, exactly. I know
Pendulums
she
have a
said
little bit.
yes. Is it waving between yes and definitely.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty definitive then.
All right, I'm gonna go grab them. I'll
Okay,
be
cool. I'll be here and I'll tell you if I see anything.
okay. Oh, it landed on you.
Oh, nice. Cool. I'll be here.
All right. Let us ask Natalie some questions. I need to do this on TikTok too, but knowing me, I'll probably get scared and not do it.
It's so hard to do, like, to put yourself out there and take up space that way. I get really nervous about TikTok videos too, and then whenever I make them, I feel better.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna do this. So you
Okie
can
dokie.
so
That
you
works.
can see.
Yeah.
Very best to not manipulate them in any way.
Yeah. Have her do it.
Okay, Natalie, we're gonna use these. I know these ones are a little bit easier for you. So put them just
Whoop.
yeah, this is
Whoop. They're going crazy.
Can you put them in a neutral state, please?
Hmm.
Okay, so crossing over is a yes, and then outwards is a no.
Okay. So if they point just like they are now, that's a no, or is that neutral?
It's neutral.
Neutral. Okay. Okay.
All right. Natalie, is your name Natalie or Valerie? Go outwards for Valerie and inwards for Natalie. I'm trying so hard not to breathe.
I know. Oh God. Nothing's happening. Maybe we're both wrong.
Oh no, I left.
I'm sorry. I messed it up.
All right, remember, crossover for Natalie and outwards for Valerie. Going outwards.
Ooh.
Okay, so you were right.
Wow. Thanks for telling me, Valerie. I'm sorry I renamed her by accident. That's a very big Valerie. Good job. Maybe I know what I'm doing.
Holy shit.
Oh God. Okay, good. Okay. Oh, I have goosebumps.
Heard it here first, guys.
Her name is Valerie.
All right. Is there anything else you want to ask her?
Okay, I really want to ask her if she's okay with being on the podcast because I feel like.
Okay, Natalie, are you okay with being on the podcast? Iona's podcast? Yeah.
She's tentative about it. I hear ya.
She's a little bit, she's like, yeah, I guess.
I guess so.
Trying so hard not to. This is why I don't like using the dowsing rod.
Yeah, because if you move in any way, it'll mess with it. Yeah.
All right. I think that was good. Do you want to do any more, or are we good?
I think that's fine.
Okay.
That's cool. I'm glad we were able to figure things out for her. That was Valerie.
Well, now I have to look up Valerie and see.
I'm sorry you were doing so much Natalie research.
Well, I mean, hey, maybe this is the right thing. Like, I love that. I'm excited about it. I feel like she's excited about it. Are you excited about it?
Yeah.
I feel like maybe she is. I hope you are.
Yeah, I hope so too, even though it's hard to
Iona.
discover. Yeah, thank you for letting me meet her, and thank her for letting me meet her. That's very sweet.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna put you down for a second, Natalie. Whew. This got hot. I got hot doing that.
See, you got hot and I got chilled. Hot and cold.
I think it's just because I'm like, I don't want to mess up. Don't move it on accident.
You're like, do not breathe, do not move. You must be a pillar.
It will. Awesome. If you like anything, those things will just go one way or the other. So it's really, you have to concentrate. And that's why
I feel like that's how it is with the pendulum sometimes too. But yeah, that makes sense that the magnet one, the little
the other thing that people do that I've seen is like they'll get a jar and they will somehow manipulate a pendulum on the top of the jar, the lid, and then they screw it on, and so the pendulum's in a jar. And you ask it questions and the pendulum can move in the jar freely without any like hands
outside touching. Yeah, that's smart.
You can still use your energy around it if you want. But I just find that this magnetic one is like nice. It just takes a long time to get there.
Yeah, it just takes a little while to decide, but that's okay. I'm glad you got to show me that and the pendulums and Valerie.
But yes. One more thing before we do your witchy game. I'm excited about. Can I pull you an oracle card?
I would be honored if you did that.
Love this. I'm obsessed with this deck, and I just feel like
it's so beautiful.
Yeah. So this deck is called the Woodland Wardens.
Ooh.
And it's by Jessica Roix. I think Roix. I think it's
Roix. Yeah.
I'm bad at pronouncing things. Anyways, I just feel like it's very you, and I would love to pull
I
you.
feel like it's me, but I don't want to assume. But I just love the woods.
I feel like I'm gonna get you this deck. It's gonna
That would
happen. I
be
feel it.
so nice of you. But also, you're a gift giver for sure.
Yeah. Oh, this is interesting. So you got the hawk and thistle, graceful
Oh,
persistence.
ooh, graceful persistence. Okay, very
But it
cool.
okay, but it just reminds me of
The magpies again.
no. Um oh, what's his name?
Oh, Skeletor.
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 I love
Um,
Skeletor.
that's from for you listening, that's from my book Ashes that I won't shut up about. But Rivers read it. So I think that's so nice.
All right, hold on. I gotta read you the little explanation, then I promise we'll do your witchy.
Witchy game. Oh yeah. I always have to say the alphabet whenever I'm looking at Oracle cards. I'm like, I know alphabetical order.
I'm so bad at this, and also like I feel like I can't ever feel like I'm gonna take so too. Oh no, I found it. Found it. Found it.
Oh, good. No, I and also for what it's worth, like, first of all, I can always cut it out. And second of all, whenever you're the one searching and the other person's waiting, it's like, oh my God, I'm taking forever. But for the person waiting, like, that was not even 30 seconds.
Like it took 10 years. The hawk is a keen and vigilant observer, so much so that watchful and hawk-eyed have become synonyms. An apex predator, the hawk glides gracefully on the winds, its sharp talons ever at the ready. The thistle can thrive in a variety of environments, from verdant hills to rocky shores. Its spiked, stinging leaves protect its radiant flower that perches like a crown upon its stem. Upright, it says you can act fiercely while maintaining your grace and dignity. Sharpen your talons, but don't lose your crown.
Ooh,
Oh, I love that for you. And then,
thank you.
am I too easily influenced by my environment? How can I thrive in a difficult situation? So those are just like two little questions you can ask yourself, like when
Very cool.
journaling. All right, that
I
was that.
love that. Thank you for doing that. That's so helpful. And thank you so much. Actually, oh, do you want me to do no, I don't know where they are. Do you want me to pull an oracle card for you? For some
Yes,
reason
please.
they're missing. What the oh, my cat knocked them over. That's
I
why.
love that.
I was like, it's a ghost. I know it. Like I was like ready to freak myself out.
It's always a spirit. By the way, when you lose shit and then it comes back, that's a ghost. That's a
It's a
ghost.
ghost. It's 1,000% a ghost. There's no
Or it's
reason.
a
I
cat.
mean, all of my
There's
things
two
are there.
explanations. Ghost or a cat. And that's it. There's no in between.
This one just feels right. I feel like maybe two.
Am
I
I lucky?
pulled two. Sorry.
I know I love that. I'm always like,
The one that showed up upside down, but these oracle cards don't do upside down or right side up. But just for your own reference, the community one was upside down.
oh, that
But
makes
the upside down, well, it kind of makes sense with what we're dealing with here for
yeah.
both of us personally. But what's really interesting is that it showed up upside down. This is what it looks like upside down. It's really beautiful. Look,
You know,
it's like the other side.
I love that. I love that. That's such
So
a
I think it was more symbolic for you to see it this way.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's like, sometimes, especially with what we're going through,
Mm-hmm.
it's better for like, what Jenna said. It's better for those people to not be in our lives anyways. Like if
Mm-hmm.
not to be, it's like why waste our time?
Yeah,
It's not going to help us grow by lingering on those people that don't want to be a part of like,
exactly.
you know?
Exactly. It's painful, but it's like a necessary pruning. The
Yeah.
other one you got was commitment. So you got two C's.
Oh, I love
So
that.
commitment and community. So let's see what they
Ooh,
say because they
with
both felt
creepy
pertinent.
floor and folklore.
Folklore. I've said that before, just so you know. So I'm
Oh,
glad it's not I'm not the only one. Okay, let's see. Where's community? Okay, so community says do. So the lady who made it, who is I guess MJ Cullinane, sorry. I'll try and tag her stuff there too. But she lives in Seattle, so that's why this original part is in here. But here in the Seattle area, we have 3 big roosts. The largest, I believe, is in the UW Bothell campus. Each of these roosts serves as a community. It's a sanctuary. It is a place for the crow to retreat to in the evening where they are accepted and comforted. Lean on your community, lean into the groups of people that you feel most at peace with during times of friction or stress. So that's the first one. And then the next one's commitment, which is very cute looking.
I think that one I needed to hear that one today.
Commitment. Yeah. That was the first or the second one I pulled. So this is inspired by June Hunter's account of George and Mabel and their commitment to each other. I don't know if you're familiar with George and Mabel. There was a crow. This should show that Morgan has been in my life because I freaking love crows. But
I was about to say like that. How long have you had that deck for?
I mean, years at this point. So
yeah, she's been with you for a while.
I love hearing that, and it just makes a lot of sense. But Mabel, George, I think it was George, his beak got hurt and it like fell off. And so Mabel, it might have been flipped though. The genders might have been flipped, but the other crow, because crows mate for life, I'm almost positive of it. And she fed her husband, or he fed his wife, he would like a baby bird, and she lived for like a really long time.
Oh my god.
Isn't that so sweet? I know. I was like, oh my god. So I'll also like try and include that news story in there because it's so beautiful in the show notes. But I just explained it and it's written here. Never mind. When George's beak broke, God, I just went in here and mansplained everything. When George's beak broke due to an accident, his loving and faithful partner Mabel took over to ensure that George was fed and protected. When they coupled, they agreed for better, for worse, in sickness and in health. This loving pair remains committed. This card asks you that you examine areas where you are committed. Are you ready to put in the work if needed?
Oh my gosh, that is
Isn't that beautiful? She also explained it way better than I did. I botched it.
No, it was perfect. I thought you both did good.
So those I think that's
yeah, I was gonna ask you. I was actually going to be like, hey, so how long have you had that deck for?
A while.
Pretty sure it's got crows on it.
I'm pretty sure it's for a reason.
I love her. I love how much influence they have over us.
They do without us even knowing. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, before you go, I have a fun witchy game that we can play. So it's a kind of like would you rather, you make kind of a choice kind of thing.
Okay.
So would you rather speak with a deceased loved one who's pretending to be an evil entity, evil with quotes around it, or would you rather talk to an evil entity pretending to be a deceased loved one?
Okay, so the second one happens way too often, like to people.
I know. It's so sad.
First one, just because like my cousin recently passed and I can totally see him fucking with me on purpose. Like,
I'm so sorry that he passed, but also I can totally understand, like visualize what you're talking about.
Like I just think like I'm visualizing the idea of like a past loved one that's just like has their like ghost friends behind them, like watch this bitch.
She's gonna get so afraid.
And for some reason that brings me, because I would do that. I feel like I would be that. I genuinely feel like I would be that.
A menace. You'd be a menace to the living.
I'm gonna haunt everyone. Like I'm not gonna haunt just any one person. I'm just gonna go around and be like, man, I got nothing else to do today. Like
I love that. The next one is, if you could have any familiar, what would it be?
Oh, I would say Aurora.
I feel like that already is happening. Just from the sound of it.
I feel like she's just, or her and her sister Alexis, because they were sisters and they both passed. Like they would be perfect familiars for me. I mean, that's like, me being sentimental. If I wanted to just be badass, like I would want a dragon.
Oh yeah, giant lizard friend. Absolutely,
dragon. Yeah. Hellfire dragon. That would be it.
Ooh, I love that. Would you rather, no, this isn't fair to Valerie, but would you rather have a haunted puppet, doll, or figurine?
There's something really creepy about puppets.
Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Puppets. God, and I love them so much.
The one thing that I wish that Valerie could do is move more.
Because like articulate. Yeah.
I have a friend that was pretty popular on TikTok. I don't know how Soul Marie, she had
Mhm.
like all of these different haunted dolls and whatnot, and
Mhm.
the ones that were able to move would move, and it was really cool to watch.
Interesting.
I'll have to you would
Please send
love,
me her stuff.
yeah, yeah, it's crazy like what she got those spirits to do for
Mhm.
her. But yeah, definitely probably a puppet, because it would just be cool to watch them like move around.
Muppet around.
No, it's not scary anymore. It's just
It's just adorable and hilarious. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to include River's info in the show notes below. But why don't you let us know more about where people can find you?
Okay, so primarily I'm on Instagram.
Mhm.
My Instagram handle is Pagan Plotter.
Mhm.
I don't know how to spell that offhand. Just a lot of P's and A's and G's and stuff. Uh,
I don't either. I'm not helping. But I
uh,
can find you. That's what's important. I'll put it in the show notes so people can click it though. So that's what
I, al-
matters.
I also have a TikTok. It's just my name, River Hemans.
Mhm.
Those are where I'm at. That's it. That's all I do. If anybody is interested in a reading from me,
Mhm.
the best place to reach me is on Instagram. I do have a website that I'm currently working on where you can at some point eventually lock in a reading with me through that. But right now, Instagram is the best place.
That is fabulous. And clearly, you know what you're doing because
No, I hope
each
so.
reading has always been very accurate to me.
Oh, I love that. I'm so like anytime I get any kind of validation, it feels amazing. So,
Oh, I would not just say that either. Like,
oh,
I'm just not about. I don't think you're like that either. Where like you just say things that aren't true. Like it's like I wouldn't say it if I didn't think it or and
no,
feel it. So
I've never been like that. I think people that do that are disgusting. So,
those liars.
don't
But yeah,
lie.
you're an incredible like reader. You have really good divination connections. And I can't wait to see where your mediumship takes you.
You.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being on. It was great to see you.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun. You're the best. All right.
You're so wonderful. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, so this is editing Iona here. And you know how River was talking about how their doll, Natalie slash Valerie, will sometimes use the audio when editing podcasts to speak or make some sort of connection. I isolated all the moments. There were 3 little ones. These were sounds that either were produced by River's computer when they walked away and no one was touching the keyboard, like the little taps that I'll show you in a second. And the other ones were ones that while I was editing, there weren't any of those spiky wavelengths that someone was talking, but it showed up green, like as if there was a sound there. So I increased the sound. So let's take a listen. Here's the first one that comes from like computer tapping. I thought maybe it was Morse code, but the closest I could come up with was M5 or something like that. So you tell me what you think about it since you're a spooky soul too. And here are the other 2 sounds. Did you hear it? That was the first one. I know that that one was very quiet. And here's the last little one. To me, it kind of sounds like a voice of some sort. So there you have it. Taps and noises. I don't know what they mean, but I thought that was pretty cool that I found some odd audio on this recording. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next week. Thanks to all you spooky souls out there for listening to Creepy Core and Folklore. Follow on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok if you're looking for more uncanny content. If you have your own tales to tell, you can email creepycoreandfolklore@gmail.com. If you liked this, please leave a review wherever you get your podcasts, or tell a friend who might enjoy these stories to spread the word. If you're interested in dark fantasy, check out my Hollowverse series. Ashes is available now in paperback and ebook on Amazon and audiobook on Audible, and the sequel is underway. I'm Iona Wayland, and I'll see you next time.